What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we have some big news for you guys, but before we get into that, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. Now let's go ahead and jump right into it with the topic that I know you guys are going to be interested in, and that is the upcoming big PlayStation remake is actually being revealed here. Could it possibly be that Chrono Cross is coming back? Well, that is the rumor that is going around right now at this point, and I've been trying to pick around and find to see if I can put together any sources that can corroborate what is going on here, which we will discuss in just a bit. So the beat here comes from Video Games Chronicle. So they say a remake of Square Enix's classic RPG Chrono Cross is reportedly in development for multiple platforms, and we're going to answer why that probably isn't going to be Chrono Trigger in just a bit here. So Chrono Cross, which was released for the original PlayStation in 1999, was one of the many unannounced titles listed in the NVIDIA database leak in September, a list the company subsequently admitted was real, even if it said the games didn't necessarily exist. The following month, VGC reported on claims that PlayStation was set to announce a remake of a big game this Christmas, which were made by a musician who said they were involved with its soundtrack. Now, folk singer who performs as Ava told Irish radio station WLR-FM that she has recorded an Irish language theme for the game, which is yet to be revealed. Now, according to Xbox era co-founder Nick Baker, the remake in question is Chrono Cross Remastered. Quote, Chrono Cross Remastered, I think, was already on the NVIDIA leak list, so the game shouldn't be a surprise. It was on NVIDIA's list, but I was told that the VGC article is about Chrono Cross Remastered, he said on the latest Xbox era podcast. Furthermore, what else I was told, because everyone's working under the assumption that it's a PlayStation exclusive. I've been told that it's not. The only word that was used was multiplat. Now, when I hear JRPG and multiplat, I automatically assume PC, PlayStation, Switch. That's my assumption. That's not what I was told, that's just my assumption. All my source said to me was multiplat. That's what they said. They told me it wasn't PlayStation exclusive. Baker continued with this. I think there's confusion because it says that PlayStation is set to announce it, so everyone just works under the assumption that PlayStation is announcing something that would be exclusive, which they don't always do. Pragmata isn't exclusive. They've announced plenty of stuff that isn't exclusive. But again, I don't know if Xbox is one of those platforms. I work under the assumption that it's not because it's a JRPG. Now, during the radio interview, the artist claimed she worked on a mystery PlayStation game soundtrack with composer Michael McGlynn and his daughter, who sang the track in question. Less than 2 weeks before the radio appearance, Chrono Cross composer Yasunori Mitsuda tweeted a photo of McGlynn and his daughter preparing to perform music remotely. McGlynn was the founder of an Irish choral group, Anua, and I'm probably butchering some of these names, guys, I'm sorry, which used to be a member. The group was previously performed pieces for video games and features as the voices of Hell in Diablo 3. His short film Shadows of the Lowlands was also used by Nintendo to promote Xenoblade Chronicles 2. PlayStation has no events confirmed for Christmas at this time of publication, although the Game Awards 2021 is set to take place on December 9th. So there is a lot to unpack with this one here, guys, and I have to unleash when it comes to what is going on here. So here's the thing that I would say with this. I think that there is enough other little connecting parts with the Irish singer, what's been going on with Yasunori Mitsuda tweeting with what's going on with the daughter that worked there. There's so many other little things that connect to this probably being a thing, or something is definitely happening, or none of this stuff would have been happening in terms of what's going on with the singers and what's going on with all of that. Now, if it's just on the NVIDIA database, I don't always just trust that, because they said that it could or could not be with these games when it comes down to it. They have a database there, but that doesn't mean that everything is going to happen based off of that database. They could just be logging it for something to where NVIDIA says you can stream the game from whatever or wherever the case is, right? So I'm not 100% sure that everything on that database will come to fruition. That's one thing. I don't take that database as the be all end all. However, there's all the other little connecting pieces here in this article that kind of show that this is probably true or could very much be true or worked on at some point, or something is going down with a PlayStation Classic being brought back. Now let's speculate on the systems it's on, because the one thing that I know so far when it comes to Square Enix and when it comes to RPGs with the remaster, or I would say remake category of their lower selling RPG, the Mana series, for example, right? That was a multi-plat game. They had the Trials of Mana that came out on PlayStation, that came out on PC, and that came out on Nintendo Switch. They've been doing that quite a bit. The Legend of Mana games. There's been a lot of different old school RPGs that Square Enix has rebooted and brought back and remastered that has been multi-plat. And I'm guessing that Chrono Cross is going to be a remaster or a remake that is not up to the level that where Sony would buy some type of exclusive right to it, especially with how Sony is operating with the PlayStation 5 and how they've been operating for the past 3 to 4 years. This doesn't strike me as I'm going to go out there and get this as an exclusive. This strikes me as Sony maybe announcing it because Chrono Cross is an iconic PlayStation game, which they've announced iconic games, you know, and they've come to multiple platforms. Heck, the Mana series is kind of iconic with Nintendo, and if I'm not correct, they announced it first at Nintendo show. Everyone thought that it was exclusive for just a bit, but then they realized it's like, okay, no, it's not exclusive. It's coming to PC, and it's also coming to PlayStation. So I think the same thing is happening here. It makes sense to me. So I personally think, based off of Square Enix's history, that it will be multi-plat, but you never know with this. But either way, I would love for this to happen. Chrono Cross is definitely a game that needs a remaster. Going back and playing it on the PS1 is a bit rough. Now, for those that are asking about Chrono Trigger and why that wouldn't be brought back in some way, I think that Chrono Trigger is perfect. Chrono Trigger is perfect on the Nintendo DS. It's perfect on the Super Nintendo, and you can go back and play those versions of the game, and they have a slightly less perfect version of a still perfect game with the PC version of it. So the only thing they would need to do with Chrono Trigger is just bring it to the modern platforms. Just bring it over to PlayStation, bring it over to the Nintendo Switch, just bring it over to those systems. Some way, somehow, some type of collection or something like that. Just bring it over, and you're good when it comes to Chrono Trigger. You don't actually need to remake that or remaster that. Unless you're going to do something completely crazy or make a sequel, then I understand. But if you're not, then there's really no need at this point. Now, when it comes to Chrono Cross, that game definitely needs one. So I can understand if they decided to pick Chrono Cross over Chrono Trigger, considering Chrono Trigger has already been re-released so many times and Chrono Cross really hasn't been. So it makes sense to me. But those are my thoughts on this. This could be a huge classic RPG coming to Nintendo Switch and other platforms, PlayStation, PC as well. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, we have a game that kind of slipped my radar that is a Nintendo Switch console exclusive, and it's actually looking pretty good from what I've seen here, although it seems like it might be the PC footage or probably the PC footage, but I would guess that it could look very similar to this on the Nintendo Switch as well. And Gamatsu has the beat on this. Now, publisher DMM Games and Nitro Plus and the developers Omega Force and Ruby Party have released the second official trailer for Token Rambu Warriors. Now, the company also announced a brand new mystery playable character, and his name is Omakage. So that's pretty cool as well. Now, this is a mysterious person who wields an Otachi greatsword. He is calm and collected despite his somewhat fragile appearance. He becomes involved with Mikazuki and the other Honomaru Token Danchi. But so there's a little bit of mystery there with it. So Token Rambu Warriors is due out for the Nintendo Switch and PC via DMM Games Player on February 17, 2022 in Japan, and for the Nintendo Switch on May 24, 2022 in North America and Europe. And the interesting thing about this, why I wanted to cover it, is that it's a new game that is coming only to the Switch, which I don't think there's any type of exclusive deal. It just seems like they decided that, hey, we're gonna have a budget for Switch and PC in terms of porting costs, and that's all we're going to do. So I'm very interested to see how this game plays on the system and how it works out in the Warriors style of gameplay. So it looks good from what I've seen so far, and I can't wait to see more of what they show with this game, especially as we get closer to its release in May for North America and Europe. So what are your thoughts on Token Rambu Warriors, this Nintendo Switch console exclusive? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, we have a huge first party sale on Nintendo Switch games. So yes, we're talking some of the biggest Nintendo Switch exclusives are on sale at GameStop for the very low price of $26.99. Finally, some really good deals on first party games, which people have complained over the years, especially with the Nintendo Switch, that the games just never go down in price, and they never go down in price. Well, here is your opportunity if you live in America with GameStop. And I'm pretty sure there might be some sales in the overseas versions of GameStop, but this is just for America at this point, the United States. And the full lineup is really impressive, and I'm going to give my picks out of this here because there's a lot of good picks here. So the full lineup is Astral Chain, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Kirby Star Allies, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Paper Mario the Origami King, Splatoon 2, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So wow, what a lineup. If you're getting a Switch for the first time, if you're getting that, let's just say the Mario Kart bundle Black Friday, you can pick up a bunch of great games. Like seriously, you can get yourself so many great games for like $400 or less when it comes down to it with that $299 bundle. So that's really good here. Now, if I had to make some picks, okay, this isn't necessarily in any type of order, but if I had to make some picks, there are a number of games on here. If you're looking for your multiplayer fix, then I would say Splatoon 2 is pretty much the game out of all of these because it has the online multiplayer that has a lot of players still playing, and it's a ton of fun. So multiplayer, online at least, definitely very good for Splatoon 2. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is more for the local multiplayer. If you want to play with your kids or nephew, or heck, even if you want to play by yourself, old school Mario, you know, it's an okay game, but I definitely feel that Splatoon 2 for the online multiplayer is very good. Also, Kirby Star Allies, once again, really good for local multiplayer with the kids or with the family or with the nephews, whatever the case is. But those games, it's like, okay, you know, there's definitely some better games, in my opinion, on this list. Once again, Paper Mario the Origami King, an okay game, but not so sure if it stacks up compared to some of these other games. Now, the games that are in question here that you should definitely consider getting, if you're wondering what you should get, is Astral Chain, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild, to me, is the best game on this list. It's the game that launched the Nintendo Switch system, and it's the game that you should absolutely pick up. If you can only get one of these games, definitely pick up Breath of the Wild. It's sold over 20 million copies. It is a phenomenon, and they're making a sequel that's coming out next year. So I would say that Breath of the Wild is the de facto pick up this game. Now, if you're looking for a huge strategy RPG, then Fire Emblem 3 Houses is your game. If you want just content on top of content and a huge narrative with multiple paths that you can play and you can replay it like so many times, Fire Emblem 3 Houses is that. If you're looking for a little bit of persona in your Fire Emblem, there's a calendar system, there's all different types of stuff that you can do. Very similar at times, like a social link system in the game. So Fire Emblem 3 Houses is your game for that. Now, also, if you're looking for more of a traditional RPG in an open-ended area, then Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is your game. It has a really kind of unique blend of action RPG with the MMO style, but a single-player RPG. It has extra content with the Future Connected DLC in there, and it's a fantastic game. It's a remastered game from the Wii era and one of the best RPGs of all time, in my opinion, along with Fire Emblem Three Houses as well. Now, the last game that I'm going to talk about here is absolutely incredible. This is one of the games that I feel is a can't miss action game. If you can only pick up 2 games on this list, I would definitely say that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Astral Chain complement each other the most, because on one end you've got a crazy, insane Platinum Games developed action title, and on the other end you have that big RPG like experience with Zelda, but not quite, right? So it's a good dynamic between the 2 games, and Astral Chain is absolutely incredible. It's like a action RPG or a action game with light RPG elements in there. You can level up, you can get experience, you can get new weapons, you can get new things and upgrade, but it is a phenomenal game that is overlooked by so many people out there. Now is the time, if you can, to get Astral Chain. I highly recommend it. The controls take a little bit of time to get used to, but once you start locking down how to play the game, you will feel like you are in a groove when you play it. So I highly recommend those games that I did talk about, and I highly recommend Astral Chain. I think it's fantastic. More people need to pick it up. So what are your thoughts on everything that we discussed here, guys, when it comes to the news with Nintendo Switch and more? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.